Yeah, my guy. What's going on?
Too long, lad.
It's been way too long, brother.
Alright?
Nice to see you, man.
Nice to see you, lad. Yeah. Oh, good. How are you? I feel like we're staying the same age now.
Yeah, I know, exactly.
We've both got a couple of grades, but it's not too bad, lad.
Couple? Couple, I got more than a couple now, but yeah. But do you know what? I'll call it wisdom. You're there.
I'm here, yeah?
Yeah. You call it. I call it wisdom, bro.
Little strokes.
It means I know what I'm doing.
I like that.
I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm saying. Aaron, you can sit here. You're good.
Oh, is that off cam?
Yeah, you're off cam. Yeah, and if you want to make phone calls and do stuff, you can sit in there though. But you can sit here and. Have you been here before?
I've been here, yeah, but I sat in there and listened on the headphones. I'm gonna sit in there.
You sure?
I feel like I might be ruining the vibe.
No, just don't make any sudden noises or sounds or yeah.
Who did you come in with?
Black 3.
Oh yes. Yeah. That was time ago. And then I went to the live show and that was good. That was good. Maverick, what's going on, bro?
Lad, it's been too long.
Hey, bro, do you know what? Do you know what I wanted to do? I wanted to go on my Facebook and grab a picture. Because there's a picture that I have a vivid memory of. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
What am I talking about?
Let me take all this shit. What's that on? Lad, if it's this, is when I bumped into you in fucking Christiania.
Yes!
Christiania?
Yeah,
and you were just out there rolling on your one.
Yes.
I was out there with an ex-missus of mine.
Right.
And we bumped into, fucking hell, we went...
Clara Amfo. Because she was on her own as well.
Yeah.
I was just like, that was my
Did
first...
we go out that night?
Nah, so the funny thing was, turn the song off. The funny thing was, I think we were all trying to go out. We've gone to some place or whatever, then we've ended up just randomly linking up. And then we just didn't even go. No, I think we just ended up going getting a burger, whatever.
I think we did, yeah.
Then we've linked up and then we've gone to Cristiano or whatever. Yeah. And I got the picture still.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Is it like a selfie or something and we're all is that what it is or is that another one?
So I think I think your ex-missus at the time must have taken a picture of me and you or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
Oh, come on.
I was in discovery mode them times. I was thank you. Yeah, like when I look back now, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do again. Do you get what I'm saying? Like I was like in a bit of a place where things were a bit weird for me. It was the first time. Thanks, bro. Yeah, it was like the first time I just thought, let me just go away and just feel what it's like and just think about stuff. Do you get me? And I ended up randomly just...
Yeah, because I always rate that of like, I like travelling by myself as well, and I think there's a lot to be discovered when you're travelling by yourself.
But when you say travel by yourself though, work travel by yourself
just travel by myself and be in a place by myself with my own thoughts and like experience that by myself. I think you teach yourself a lot, you learn a lot.
100%.
And you have experiences like that where you bump into people. It's like when you're with groups of people, don't get me wrong, group holidays are wicked, but you tend to like be insular in the group, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You want to just be able to just go and just be in your thoughts like, not everyone's like that though.
No, but that's why when I saw you out there on your one, I was like, oh, go on, lad. Yeah. I like when I see people on a holiday by themselves.
I think I'll probably get that side from my mum actually.
As in she travels by herself?
Only recently, because my stepdad passed away a few years ago.
Sorry to hear
so now it's like she's trying to find herself again. Do you know what I'm saying? But she's always just been a person who could just do things by herself though. Do you know what I mean? Like just, if you want to go cinema, or I went cinema. Do you know what, bro? For the first time the other day I went cinema on my ones.
How'd you find it?
Yeah, it was calm. I went to the wrong cinema though.
Why was it the wrong cinema?
Fam, I went to...
Fucking hell, first experience.
Yeah, it was mad.
You can swear on this as well, yeah? I'm just
yeah.
Alright, grand.
I went to the wrong cinema, bro. I went to go and see...
Hold on, this camera's freaking me out. Can I sit this side or do I have to be this
Either
side?
way, you're good.
Either way, yeah?
Either way, you're good.
I can't be talking to you through the camera. Wow.
Yeah, you could just double check that as well. But yeah, you're good. I went to go and see that film. What is that film called again? Where they go on the island. What's that film called again? Where they go on the island, the man's abusing them and all that type of stuff. Poet was talking about it a lot.
Is it Naked something?
No, it's not called Naked something, bro.
Naked, just throwing us in the deep.
It's basically, in some way, what they're saying kind of happened with the Jeffrey Epstein kind of stuff. So you ain't heard
It's
about
not that
this?
one where they all get old on one side of the
Nah.
beach, and then anyone who leaves. Have you seen that? That's not the same.
Nah.
Thing, no?
Blink twice.
Blink twice. You ain't seen that?
What's her name? Zoe Kravitz.
Yes.
No, I haven't seen it yet. No,
Bro,
no,
it's
no.
good.
Okay, is that? I didn't know that was the premise of it.
Yeah, I didn't
Okay.
really know that either. But it's just basically like without because you should
Don't
see
ruin-
it.
yeah, don't ruin the fun.
Basically, they go to an island.
Yeah.
So that whole Jeffrey Epstein type thing. But there's just
Okay.
all kinds of weird things going on and all of that.
Okay.
So yeah, I just thought I woke up. I was just chilling in the evening. I said, you know what? Let's go cinema on my ones, man.
Go on
I'll do
cinema by yourself as well. That's a good vibe as well. Like,
Yeah,
I like
no,
going to empty cinema, especially in the day, like when there's no one around and it's like an empty screen. You can find that. You know what I mean?
How you been anyway? What's been going on with you, bro? It's been a hot. I feel like I see you, but I don't see you.
And I think the same with, with me and you, or with you.
It's like the power of social media, innit? Like, you know, you sometimes you see somebody, you don't see them, and then like I might actually see you somewhere, and then when I deep it, I'm like, rah, I've actually not properly seen you in years.
Yeah, I feel like when we met in Copenhagen was the last time that.
No, I think I've seen you like once or twice before, but just after
But
that.
passing.
But just passing. Yeah.
Lad, I've been good at just putting a new album out. I've just been kind of head down working on music for the last couple of years since I've kind of like properly spoken to you last.
Yeah.
Just been grafting on, like same as yourself, just like keeping our heads tucked in and just grafting on. So.
Well, how's life though? Aside from that, like how's life? Like
No, it's
how's life
good.
treating you?
Yeah, do you know what? I think like funny you said about being in Copenhagen and whatever way you phrase it, like searching or like, you know, kind of going through a certain experience where you're like, all right, what am I doing now? Where's my heart? I think like I was at a similar time then, you know. What was that? 20. I don't remember back to what age I was then. I was like 26, 27. I just come out of the Universal deal. I hadn't released any independent music, I don't think yet. I was in a period where I was just writing for people.
Was you just to paint a clearer picture? Was you happy to have come out of that deal at that point?
1,000,000% at the time. 1,000,000%.
Well, what was going on around that?
It changed a lot. So if you remember back to the first album, it was Mercury. And when I signed, there was a small number of acts that were in rotation. You know, the people who signed me were working there. The team was the same team. When it came around to 3 years later,
Different.
the A&Rs had left. It was a different label, different head. There was a couple of people that were still solid in there, but the majority of the whole structure of the building had changed. I had issues with my first manager. I was now under a new management company. There was issues within them. And the album kind of came at a time where the second album came at a time where I was not in a good place. Everything around me had changed and the label had kind of changed. And it just wasn't a home for me anymore. I just, you know, when you kind of, you feel like you're burdened onto people who didn't really believe in you in the first place.
Yeah.
It's like when that solid spirit's gone, I'm like, you know, I remember on the first time around going into the head's office and A&R's office and people are playing the music and, you know, able to pinpoint certain points of the album that was their favourite, and then you come into the second album and it kind of feels like you're the burden from the other label. Do you understand what I mean? So yeah, I just feel like it was the best time for me to leave. I'd started writing as well for other people in the background, and I was just like, yeah, this isn't serving me. This isn't serving me.
I think that's the thing that probably a lot of people artists don't talk about enough, or even just in general. Yeah, it's a real thing to have somebody come and really believe in what you're doing.
Oh,
yeah?
of course.
And the team, everyone's excited. You go through the whole campaign, whatever. Then it just changes because these lot end up going to another. Because remember, usually they always just go to a different label. Everyone just goes to different labels.
And you take it personally as an artist. It's like, what the fuck? Why are people leaving? And
yeah.
Well, obviously, everyone's.
And then someone else comes in and they're like, all right, cool, I'm taking this on, but I didn't really sign it, so. Like
whatever happens. And
yeah.
when they're going into meetings or trying to bang on people's doors for you, if they haven't like championed you, then as soon as someone closes the door or says no in a meeting, they'll be like, okay, no problem.
Yeah, fair.
Whereas if someone's championing you and they believe in you from the start, there's different relationships
100%
and different things built. So
from their side though as well, it's like if you just say you've taken on a job at a different label and then someone just assigns you an artist or whatnot, yeah, it also goes on an element of their credibility. So they're thinking, I'm already out here trying to find something to work. If I don't necessarily believe in this one, I'm not really trying to claim this one with my whole heart because, do you get what I'm saying?
Nah. Yeah, and then that leaves this big grey area.
Yeah, exactly.
Wrong, like, there are a load of people in that building that I've still got massive amount of time for, but it was just one of them complicated scenarios. And then pretty much the same thing had gone on management-wise with me. I had someone for the first album who was a soldier, and we were together.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? All the time, and then that went a bit left. And then I ended up signing to Rocket Management, and then that, you know, the structure within there, as soon as I signed, it kind of was a bit all over the place. So it was just kind of like a bit chaotic. And then I was a bit chaotic at the time as well. So it was just like, that was a reflection of what was going on internally.
See, when you're chaotic, what does that look like?
Misdirected.
Be honest.
Yeah, what does it look like?
Yeah, what is it?
Drinking, you know, not as hungry, not as focused, you know, kind of doing everything other than what I should be doing. And, you know, having a good time, I guess, but not centered, not grounded. I lost myself for a bit, I would say. You know, not in a terrible way, but I would say like, yeah, I wasn't sure. It was almost like, you know, you're on a path that you're very sure of, and then suddenly all these things that are kind of out of your control start to shift, and you're like, okay, hold on here, how much control have I got over any of these situations? And then you start to like take control over the situations you do have at hand, which are normally the wrong situations. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, 100.
So yeah, it was a big learning curve for me at that time.
See, now, like, doing the independent thing, yeah?
Yeah.
Do you actually fully embrace, because obviously being independent is difficult still, you still have your own struggles, you still have, you know, sometimes you got to put up your own bread, there's a bunch of different things that you're going to have to deal with.
I own my own masters, everything's great. It's like, none of that, like, nah.
Yeah, we'll get to that part in a bit, but like, do you exercise the freedom in being able to say, you know what, I'm not dropping on Friday, I want to drop on this day, or I don't necessarily gonna go with the, you know, like the standard thing that most artists do at this time right now, yeah? You could just do what you want to do when you want to do that. Yeah. Do you fully exercise that? Yeah. Or do you still find yourself going along with the game a bit?
I think I did. I think when I first started putting out music, I still had a industry mindset. And I think we all do. There's a conditioning that you don't realize that you've still got. So like, I would say when I was first early doors of releasing independently, like when was the first album independent? I think it was 2018, something like that. I would say I thought I was independent, but I had an industry mindset.
Okay.
Of like, oh yeah, you know, it's like you still bow to certain things. You think, oh, I don't need radio, but you need DSPs. Yeah, 100%. So now they've given you certain restrictions. So you're like, oh, I'm independent, I'm free, I'm anti this. It's like, well, nah, you've just got someone new that you need to tip the hat to. Is that what it is? And so like, you learn that, right, there's still these structures within it that how much do you want to exercise your independence? And I think like probably after that first album, creatively it was independent. You know, creatively from the minute I left Universal, I feel like I've wanted to exercise that and push it as much as I can creatively. But it took me a little while to learn what like true independence was. Right. I would say.
I have a few takes. One, I think we need to go back to putting out music on Monday.
Yeah, I think this.
Just in general.
I think this Friday.
I hate the Friday. Well, actually, and I said this to Poe the other day. Yeah, I don't hate it on a Friday, but it depends on the artist. So even though naturally, me, I'm a music man. The music is a soundtrack to my life. So it's not just about the week or the weekend. Of course it isn't. But let's just take this bit here. Yeah, if it is gonna be on a Friday, I think that for me, the type of artist that it suits for me on a Friday is like a Kate Trinada kind of vibe. Oh, Kate Trinada drops something on a Friday.
Oh, what, as in the style of music?
Yes. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, yeah, Friday. But you see, generally, I just think on a Monday is a perfect day to just release music.
Yeah, and that dropping on a Monday shouldn't be radical. Like, who did I have a conversation with recently? They were like, oh, someone dropped on a Monday. Was it Tyler or something?
Yeah, he dropped on a Monday.
And people are like, oh, like even the fact that we are going, oh, he dropped on a Monday. That's how restricted we fucking been.
There you go.
That shouldn't be radical. Like, big up him for doing it, but that shouldn't be radical to do, to drop on a Monday. Even the fact that we're having a conversation, which is very true, is fucking mental.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, we should be dropping on a Monday, a Wednesday, a
Tuesday.
Sunday evening. Like,
There you go.
I get it. It's like, the only thing we should be considering maybe is like the reason you said K Trinata. Why? Oh, maybe because that would lead us into the weekend and stuff to listen to on Friday night. But maybe that soul tune or the stripped back acoustic tune you want someone to listen to on a Monday on the way to work when they're feeling a bit shit or whatever. Like, maybe that should be the only choice. Creative choices rather than like, oh, but it's not going to make this playlist and it's not going to make this. It's like, I hear that, but we're just, again, we're tipping our hat to these things all the time. And it's like, you're just like, oh,
the game has got like everyone, and I understand that.
The public don't care.
They don't.
They don't give a fuck if you dropped 5 albums on a Tuesday and a fucking 20-minute single, 20-second single on a Friday. They're just happy to listen, like we all are. I don't give a damn when people drop stuff, but yeah. And
I also love the idea of, I don't know the other companies that do this, but I always use the same like example. So I randomly discovered Little Sims years ago through Bandcamp.
Okay,
and what I really loved about Bandcamp was that cool, I seen her there, and then obviously the price was however much the price was, but if I wanted to, I could pay more though. Do you get what I'm saying? Like I paid. So let's say for example the project was $2.99 or whatever. I paid that. I'm just like, okay, cool, sounds kind of sick, whatever. Then I loved it. So then the next time when the next thing came out and it was $2.99, I said, you know what? Here's a $5. And as a fan or like a person who's building up fandom with that person, it makes me feel even so much more closer and connected to the artist, because there's a little bit of control in there in the sense that like I can reward in some way because I like you. Do you get what I'm saying? I like you and I want to do that, and it feels like an element of closeness in there. And also I think that the artist probably gets a lot more of the money on that sense than they would on one of the DSPs, because all I ever keep hearing about is that how much does an artist get from like, so Spotify for example, is it like
for a play? Yeah,
for one play. How much is one play?
0.0001 of a penny, I think that's what it is. So it roughly works out $1 million, depending on territory, spread of the tunes.
Ain't that bonkers? Yeah. Did you hear what Snoop said?
What about how much money he's made?
He's got like 1 billion streams or whatever, or like over 1 billion streams, and he said like it was like 20 bags or something like that.
Yeah, it was something ridiculous.
Yeah, like ridiculous. What, 1 billion?
Yeah.
So I just feel like there's just some things that need to change, but I guess that it's risky because you're obviously having to play a whole different game, and also we have to look at the fact that I think for a lot of people they just go with what is convenient, and like when you're looking at behavior patterns, it's just, if it's just there, it's just easier to just do, innit?
Yeah, and I think there's a fear of pissing people off that some artists may have or some teams may have, and then there's a fear of doing something that is not radical but left of center or the opposite way of doing things. I think like, you know, the independent route should be at the core is garnering a fan base and a family beyond that, of like the idea of what you just explained about Bandcamp, that there should be elements of that. That's growing a connection with an artist. And like if you've given them, you know, a $5 extra, for example, you're now more invested
100%.
And like they're almost more invested in you as an individual, and it just becomes this thing we can grow together. And you know, it's like I always think of someone like a Larry June or something like that.
Yeah,
it's cultivated his.
What are you doing?
Is that a spoiler in the corner there?
Fam!
Do you know what?
He's sick, you know.
I just saw you slowly creeping. I was like,
did you see it?
Nah, do you know what? I thought it was like a little ball of fucking fluff or something. Nah, that's hilarious.
Why didn't you kill it?
That is hilarious.
Oh, you are something else.
I saved you.
That's what happens when you're downstairs. We're like, fucking no.
Oh,
there's
mate.
something symbolic in that. Yeah, there's something symbolic in that.
Do you know what? Can I just say, by the way, that's a bit mad. But just for the audio listeners, EA just got my shoe and mashed up the spider, Do you know why that's mad? We're so entitled. We are so entitled.
About killing a spider.
Bro, you see this thing here? Probably had a family, all of that, yeah? Imagine a big foot just came out of the sky and just trod on man. Could you imagine
just
that?
Going about your daily business,
Fam,
you should feel ashamed
imagine
of
your
yourself.
whole life. Imagine, imagine you're like 45. Imagine you're 45,
gave a whole
and
life
then
story
one,
to the
bro,
full thing as well.
and then one shoe out of the sky just trod on a 45. So you're telling me your whole life was amounted to that bit
Kids
there?
are home crying now. There's no dinner on the table.
Do you get what I'm saying? It's crazy. I want to go through some live stuff a little bit later, or some things that are going on anyway. But I do want to just briefly go to because you re-recorded your first album, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm starting to hear more of these stories a bit, and I know that this was essentially born out of the fact that you wasn't even really seeing much royalties.
No, just wasn't seeing anything.
Paint that, like, make me understand what was going on with that led you to even doing this.
I guess it was the 10-year anniversary was coming up. We were discussing about, I was gonna bring it back on the road, do it only out of Brave, like 10-year anniversary tour, and then we were discussing, things around the album, like would I do a orchestral version of it, would I do a strip version, would I leave it the way it is? And then we went back through, obviously you get statements all the time, what songs are generating money and what aren't. And we were making no money off anything from the first album, like from physical, from points, from the actual physical of the album. Obviously publishing is separate. Obviously every song, every album's got a publishing side and a physical side, a master side. And off the master we were making no money, we hadn't been. Now that's obviously, there's layers to that. Everything is a loan in a deal. So you sign for a certain amount, that's a loan. We recouped that back off the first album. Everything was recouped. The spend was recouped. I signed the second album, and then they also spend on the second album, and that was the thing that was still not recouped. Which, in a business sense, you understand. Yeah. Obviously, as a kid, you don't. It took me a little while to realize, as an independent artist, when you're putting your own money up for stuff, for videos, for marketing, for PR, the rollout of stuff. But when there's an empty kind of checkbook, and you're not really being informed, obviously you look back and kind of one of the purposes of redoing it was also like, one, my own education, and two, to educate peers or young artists and bring up the conversation of like, this ain't about fuck the majors and like everyone's being done over, because I had a beautiful experience at one side of it and I had a negative experience at the other side. But it's more about education for young artists of like, none of this money's for free.
Yeah,
this is your life. If I'd gone and moved back home to Ireland and was like, it's taken away from the music and my spirit had been broken, I wouldn't be generating any money as an artist. So it's like, these are things that we've got to make sure that these are lifelong careers. So the whole purpose of going back and re-recording it was, I'm independent, I'm doing well enough independently that I can put all my own money back into stuff.
Sick.
And I want to own that. I want to look back and go,
that's mine. That's
mine now, yeah. And I felt like, knowing that there was an album of mine that was like my first giving and my first diary entry, and I wasn't making any money off it.
Yeah, it's mad.
It killed me.
It didn't feel right.
It didn't feel right. And there was a little spiritual journey in it as well, because it was like, all right, I'd released 2 studio albums independently since that. So it was like the halfway mark, 2 on a major, 2 independent. And I went back and we got all the original sessions. I tried to remake everything as close as possible. 1 or 2 tunes we didn't. But I got to basically listen to all my outtakes of me as like 18, 19, 20. I was like, there was a fearlessness that I had, and 100. I could hear in my voice that I needed to learn from that. And then there was a maturity and an understanding of the business element and just
as you were as life, as a man.
So it was like there was a little thing of me looking after that 19-year-old, and then the 19-year-old taught me something.
Yeah.
After that process, it was like something was re fucking ignited again. But then there was also, I felt like a safety of going, do you know what? That's you. I own that now. So for the rest of your life, anyone wants to use any of these songs again,
they can do that.
They're gonna take the
that's a beautiful thing still. And I would have thought that it would be quite like lightly daunting when you think of the fact that you was that age when you did that. Now you're this age and you're doing it, and it's like there's a purity in that time that is always very difficult to replicate.
Oh,
You get what I'm saying?
definitely, yeah.
Because you were, you know, it's not even necessarily just about the voice, you know, it's just about where you was at in life that contributes to the voice.
Of course.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like when you are less naive and you are a little bit more wiser and your circumstances change, that changes stuff, innit? But to be able to do it and have that still that purity in it still is an amazing thing. I feel like you executed it really well.
Oh, thank you. It was definitely daunting going back, and because you know that's 21 years of experiences that go into that first album, and then like you said, like, you know, tonally my voice was very young then. My writing was different. You're putting all them life experiences that are very relevant to you at the moment into the passion of the delivery. So yeah, it took I'd say it took 2 weeks of doing vocals for the new one before I was like, I've reconnected with something here. But yeah, I'm proud of it, you know, and I love that album. You know, that was the album that kickstarted everything for me. So I think it just like closed the chapter. It
changed your life, innit?
Yeah, it closed the chapter for me doing it again. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was something special doing it on the 10-year anniversary and just closing that and being like, all right, sweet.
Yeah, that's dope. Yeah, when you can look back and there's actually a moment that you can see this was the thing that changed the whole course of my life.
Yeah.
Like you could have been doing something completely different. It could have just worked out in a very, very, very different way.
Oh, lad, the whole thing. You know how like how sensitive and fragile music is. And
yeah.
One wrong turn here, this could have happened. Anything could have happened.
Yeah.
And things wouldn't have worked out the same way. So I just felt blessed that I'm still here.
Yeah, man, we give thanks for that.
Most definitely, yeah.
We give thanks for that.
It's been a journey, but yeah.
We're gonna push music aside for a little bit quickly. Yeah. Yo, I woke up today and I asked myself a question. What does better look like?
Fucking hell.
Because I don't know.
These are the kind of questions you ask first thing in the morning. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's mad. Oh, it's mad. Do you know what? You would think, that I'm a man who does like all kinds of mushrooms and this, that, and the other. One day, by the way, I'm doing it. I ain't done it yet. Have you done a mushroom yet?
Yeah.
Well, tell them quickly, actually, before
we
get
hold on. All right, go
on. I won't forget.
All right.
I'm not going to forget.
Don't worry. What was the question? Go on.
Oh, you want me to just go? Because I've...
No, what was the question you
the mushroom thing. Because basically, I had Darren LeBaron, that's his name. Darren LeBaron. Just Google that quickly. He was the guest I had here, Sick episode.
Okay.
And he's like a real mushroom advocate.
Okay.
He was telling me all kinds of... There was a lot of stuff that he said that had a lot of substance and a lot of things that made some sense. Then there was some other things where he was going. In my head, it was just all mad.
Tripping to Narnia.
Yeah. Okay. But though, I'm going to do it one day, but I'm just pussy.
Okay.
But I'm going to do it.
No, I don't think it's pussy. I think it's finding the right time. Don't rush into it because,
What was it like?
The first time I ever did it, I did drops at a house party and it was an awful decision. It was an awful decision because I was drinking, smoking, did drops. I'm at a house party, people I don't know. Not good. Now, it wasn't heavy, but I just went into myself and I was like, oh, fuck, shrooms ain't for me. And then I spoke to a friend. He was like, mate, what? For start, what were you doing drinking with it? What were you doing smoking with it?
You did it.
And what were you doing? You did all the wrong
things. And then you're with people that you don't even know.
Nah, I'm at a party, like, looking twice at everyone. I remember sitting down in the corner, like, I couldn't look at my phone because my phone started to vibrate, like, and I was like, fuck, I've got no solitaire at all. And then so I went with him, and he took me on a walk in the countryside. And it was like a 3-hour walk, and he said, we're going to take him, and then from the start of the journey, by the end of it, it'll be done. And it changed my whole perspective.
Wow.
It changed my whole perspective on it. Yeah.
What did you see? Did you see anything or just feel?
You know what? The first one, that first trip, it was a light dose. And I remember turning to him at one point, I was like, what is this going on all the time? I was like, is this the other side of reality?
Yeah.
I was like, it felt like Narnia.
Right.
Like I got a little glimpse into like Harry Potter land.
Yeah.
Like the magical world of the things that we can't see. And it was like the colours were more vibrant. Things were alive and like talking to me. And I was just like, you feel this, for me, I felt like this ultimate like connection with nature that I've kind of always felt anyway.
Yeah.
On a spiritual journey,
But it lifted it.
It was just something there. It was like kind of the veil dropping. I'd be like, oh shit! I was like, wow, you fucking dragged me into this magic land, and then I went on my own journey with shrooms after that.
Right. Yeah, one of my close friends as well. He did it in Jamaica, in just pure greenery, and he just like, for him, he had a really good experience with it. But yeah, I had a do you know what? I actually can't remember his name as well. Maybe we'll put it on the screen. But he was a brain scientist. Yeah. He was like specializing in consciousness. Anyway, we was having a conversation about consciousness and this and that. Yeah, and I was asking him about that, about like what happens to the brain. But one of the things that I just thought was quite interesting to me, which he didn't necessarily have an answer to, was, you see, when your consciousness is heightened a little bit, yeah, and you're going through this little trip, and let's just say, for example, you're seeing things but you're just seeing them a little bit differently. Is that what it actually really is? So if I go outside and I say, let's say, for example, okay, the vague one, the grass is just extra green. Is that what the grass really looks like? And in this normal state, I'm seeing a suppressed element of what the grass is. Do you know what I mean? Right.
And he had no answer for that, did he?
Nah.
Because that's like that theory of is it the ant and the white line? I can't remember the name of this study, but it was putting an ant on a white page. The ant was roaming around the white page. When they drew a black line around it, because the ant's focus was downwards, it felt like that there was a boundary.
Oh, right then.
So it's like, how much are we not seeing? How much light are we not seeing? How much are we kind of missing? Whether it's our perspective or whether it's the chemicals and our inner workings of what we're actually able to see. And is shrooms just opening something up in our mind, or is it opening up our vision to actually see what's present all the time?
Ain't that a sick metaphor for life in a sense, though? Imagine, yeah, you're saying that this ant was on a piece of paper, then you've drawn a circle around it, and then this thing just thinks that there's a barrier. But then that's a little bit like us.
Right. Yeah.
So basically, someone has come around and basically drawn something around us and made us essentially say, this is what you have to do, be in amongst this. People even do that within art.
Yeah.
They do that within art. But then there's really, in essence, there's nothing around you. It's just the illusion that there's something around you.
Yeah, it's the boundaries.
So if you're working without the illusion, how far do you get? That's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, and it kind of comes back to that conversation of like, let's release on a Friday, right? Oh, what? No one can give me any straight answers apart from you can get on a couple of playlists.
Yeah,
but the reality of it is the general public and all of us, we'll take in music in whatever fashion at any other point. But if I box myself in, I'll make reasons for why I'm restricted to a Friday or to whatever. And I feel like that's the same. It's like, you know, from a young age, you're telling kids not to do certain things when they're exploring.
Right.
You know, jumping on things or like painting outside. It's like, that theory of kids painting.
Yeah, you restrict kids immediately. From the moment a kid comes out, no, you can't. Like.
So they're throwing paint at the wall, like not literally throwing paint at the wall, but like drawing outside of the lines. Like, oh, you've got to be within the lines, but a kid's mind don't see that. And what can a kid create if they realize that outside the lines is far more fucking interesting than being inside?
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, shrooms definitely opens up that pathway a bit more. It kind of like. Yeah,
I can't wait to come in and tell
There's different levels of it, but definitely don't drink with it.
No, absolutely
do
not.
it on an empty stomach. Yeah.
On an empty stomach,
do it on an empty stomach.
Okay.
Yeah, do
it with somebody that you're really like you check for and that you trust and all that.
Yeah, don't be around people that you don't know. Like you know, if you can, maybe do it by yourself. Definitely try to do it in nature because
in nature, 100%.
You know, I think there's a magical working with shrooms with nature that it's almost like just a reminder of like. Don't like eat. Remember you said about the ego, whatever way you phrased it, about the spider, yeah?
Oh yeah, of course.
It's that same thing though. When you get back to nature, there's something about shrooms that's just a reminder of like, don't think you're any better than the roots.
There you
of the
go,
tree,
100%.
Don't forget you came from the roots of the tree. At some point you're gonna go back to the roots of the tree. So
there you go.
It's just a little reminder.
We're just out here just acting like everything is ours and bare restrictions and whatever else.
All it takes is one big wave to settle and humble us.
What?
And we're just, you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, don't worry. Those that's going out to the Maldives in 10 years, you're gonna know about it, and Miami and that, because that's happening. Rising sea levels is a real thing.
Yeah.
So we'll and climate change, but anyway,
we'll quickly get reminded that
yeah,
we're part
100%.
of nature.
Anil Seth, that's his name, isn't it? Anil Seth.
That was
Anil Seth. Yeah, that was the
doctor.
guy. Yeah, sick.
This guy.
I did the episode, me, him, and JME.
Okay.
And you know what JME's brain's like as well. It was
Yeah.
sick. And we went to. What was really good about it, before we even recorded the pod, he took us to a place where there was like this workshop that he was working on, which was dealing with consciousness and seeing stuff and whatever. And then we had to go, like, put this thing over our eyes, and then afterwards we had to like draw some of the things that we saw and whatnot. It was sick. It was actually a wicked day.
Oh, what? And draw some of the stuff you saw on your own
Yeah. Okay. But it was mad relaxing. I nearly fell asleep, and yeah, it was all mad. But it was sick. It was a wicked day. Then we came and recorded the pod and just talked about a lot of that.
Oh, that sounds mad.
I want to do some more stuff like that. But so I woke up, and I was like, like what is better in regards to life, and what made me think about this was the Trump situation, so it's kind of split in a sense. There's some people that are like really like upset, nervous, all of this type of stuff, and then obviously there's some people that are really happy. And although my thinking has been before the Trump thing, because I always just think about it, because I don't really care too much about American politics. I do about ours. I do find myself in this day like following a lot more things on that. But I'm like, I wonder what better actually looks like. I don't feel like any of these things at the moment really moves me. And I think the reason why none of these things move me is because I have no faith that any one of these, whether it is like the guys here or the guys over there, that are going to make things generally better. What might happen is we might, like in, let's say, 10 years time, we might look back and say, these things were better. But really, it was just the worst of that time, but it's just better than what it is now. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So there's like certain things that we might, there's certain
it's
things.
Like fractionally better.
It's like fractionally, but even when you look back and you might say at a certain time, let's just say like in the 90s, it might have been a little bit easier to get property and all of that type of stuff. And we might cherry pick the things that might have been better. Right. But really, in essence, it's not really that, it's not better. It was just better for that time. But in essence, though, it was still a shit show. And it's like, what does better even look like? Who's going to come along and do something that is better? But what does it even look like?
Yeah, I guess like is better in the scope of, say, even with like, looking into politics, is better just something radically different. Because if we're doing something by the margins of like, if I look back in 15, 20 years and it's fractionally better, and that government or that party or that prime minister or president was fractionally better, is it really? Like you said, you go back to 90s, there was still loads of inequality, there was still loads of issues being faced, but we can cherry pick maybe certain things, like the house prices were different. Yeah, great, all right, but when we zoom out in the grand scope, is there something, just small bits that we cherry pick, and the same corruption and the same like thread through our issues is still the same. So it's better just something radically different. But then what does that radically different to everyone else, to everyone is something different. But yeah, I've kind of gone in and out with belief in politicians and stuff like that. And
really,
there's been certain people over the years that I've felt radically different, and then I've just kind of lost hope in thinking that change is going to come from a system that is set up to stay the same. It's not really set up to have radical change, so what does that mean? It's like, people are saying about the royal family, what did you expect them to be? They've been birthed off corruption and rape and thievery, and now people are, the NHS is paying for certain land, and you know the massive owners and the taxpayers like basically paying the rent in different places in the UK. It's like, yo, these are systems set up to stay the same and for us to bow down to them. So we need radical change for these things to change. A little bit of outrage on a Times or Channel 4 investigation.
Yeah, that does nothing.
That does nothing, because it doesn't. Because as soon as they bleed out some new trope or some new thing that we have to go, oh, it's the 60th anniversary, or it's some new royals getting married, and suddenly we're all back on the TV isn't the dress beautiful and all this shit. It's like, yeah, you need radical change, or like
that must be quite a fun game. You see, for the powers that be, that must be quite a fun game to play.
What can we distract them with today?
When I put my if I put my mind in the mind frame of somebody who's running things and is a little bit fuckery, I'd be looking down and saying, all right, cool. Right now, there seems to be a bit of disruption. They're out protesting. They're doing this, that, and the fourth. Yeah, we need to distract them with something else very quickly. So then, what you do is, somebody's getting married, or this has come out, or wherever it is, and you just divert them over there. Then you just literally see everyone just going along here, and they just completely forget about this one thing.
Yeah. It's like, you know, the whole Prince Andrew situation. Like,
what happened to my man?
You've literally covered up paedophilia in a family, and we're still supposed to but you can't say anything about the royals. It's like, it's anti-British, or there can be loads of beautiful things about the nation and the people and what makes up the blend and culture of the people that can be beautiful. I don't need to attack the people to attack an establishment that never really served the people in the first place, as we can clearly see. So even the fact that they've attached that so much that we can't criticize a family. Oh, well, you're criticizing the whole country. It's like, no, we're not. We're just criticizing a family. Yeah, that's, if anything, not just abused all the places it went to around the world, but it's been abusing its own people for ages. So, yeah, it's like, it's wrapped up in that. It's like that bread and circuses shit from the Roman Empire. Distract people, and then they'll forget,
Was you surprised that Trump won?
No.
Why?
Because his fan base hadn't gone anywhere. It's like, he's said and done everything that you would imagine would knock a politicians off any chance of being voted in. If his fan base have still stayed with him after that, do you think they've gone anywhere?
Go through some of them. Some of them, there's an element of racism in there. He got convicted. There's a rape thing that he had going on as well. He's had bankruptcy, which is fine. I guess it's the element of business. Inciting riot. That was the other thing as well.
Yeah. It's almost like he's trying to rack up the fucking list of shit. You know what I mean? But not surprised at all. And I think, like, if anything, he's just pulling the veil down on what America is. Like, let's not. America has created some beautiful art and culture that we've all been inspired by. Some of the greatest, art of our times has come out of America and come out of the madness of it. But the reality of what the country is and what it represents, not just internally, but externally, and its influence and foreign policy and what it's had around the world and the destructiveness of it. It's like Trump is that, and he's just like, well, this is who we are. I'm not gonna hide it, And it's like, do you know what? Let's not get angry. Let's fix up. Like, glad that they've shown us who they are, and I think some of our politicians still hide this. Like, we aren't that, but they are. So I think it's better to be aware of what we're facing and go, right, let's 100%. Let's change something, And I think the Democrats are warmongers themselves, so it's like, but they've hidden under this veil of like, we're liberal and whatever. But
exactly.
The reality is it's a game, and anyone who's been radical and can offer radical change, they either get taken out at a young age, or they don't get the opportunity to kind of come up to them ranks.
Yeah. When I know I premised this by saying I don't really care about
fucking hell, it's gone from shrooms to bloody radical politics here.
I know. I know that I said I didn't really care about it too much, but because I don't, but I do find it I think that their side of doing things is kind of entertaining, because I was like, look, I was going on social media the other day, And I was like, when I'm watching what's going on, in my mind, there's one thing that I can see and I can't unsee it, and it's a sound clash. I'm like, this is like a sound clash. This is like each one of them is finding a dub plate. Like, who's got the maddest dub plate? Do you get what I'm saying? I'm going to pay to make this happen as a dub plate, and then I'm going to drop the dub plate and it's going to do something. And it's like, every day I'm going online and I'm seeing like somebody dropping a dub plate. But here's where I knew, regardless of what was going to happen, where Trump was going to win. You see that assassination attempt? You see when that happened and then he rose up and did the fist thing? I said, this was the best piece of... Let me tell you something, yeah?
Best piece of marketing he could have done.
You can't even...
It was a photo opportunity, you know
what I mean? My God. Like, he knew, in that moment, yeah, he knew, I'm going to go down in history. So that's where this thing came from. But, like, when I saw that, I said, okay, I know naturally, because this has happened or whatnot, naturally there's going to be a meeting. How did anyone even get so close to be able to do this? That, like, that's crazy.
How was he allowed to even come back and do that? It's just like, it's just...
This is exactly. So, in this environment now, let's just say, like, this is the way... Let's just say it happened the way that we saw it. Let's say it happened the way that we saw it, yeah? I could easily imagine in the room afterwards, head of security sacked. Because this is mad. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I nearly died, this, that, and the fourth and whatnot. But you see when he was around his missus and his close, even a young Dana White. That was, you know what I'm saying? The man them tried to, you can't even pay for that. You can't pay for that. Now, what that does is it adds extra level of sympathy to somebody who, in some way, I think in some way, the one thing that he's probably done that has like attracted people to him is that he's like just tried to just come across as just a normal old kind of businessman. Do you know what I mean? Doesn't really shout too much.
And slightly presented himself as anti-establishment.
Yes.
Even though he's establishment.
Yeah, exactly.
So that just added to it. Of like,
yeah, exactly.
See, I'm the leader. I'm the rebel leader. In a way, it was like...
He's not shouting, but he's just saying whatever. And then all you need to do on top of that, couple buzzwords, immigration. You know what I'm saying? Fling that in there. Immigration, that one. Oh, and gun laws. Yeah, fling that in the pot as well. And ultimately it's a win. And I think even for Harris, it did look as though, you had Biden, who, I don't want to disrespect my man, but he just looked like he was just sick from that. I'm looking at this Don and I'm saying to myself, any moment now this Don's going to collapse and have a seizure on the floor. He looked like he was done.
Healthy for a long, long while.
Yeah, he looked like he was cooked for time. He couldn't remember what he called. What did he call? He called my man Putin. Oh, bro.
Yeah. There's a video of him in Ireland trying to open a locked door, and it's just there's a lot going on. They did their own damage. You know what I mean?
They did their own damage. So from that aspect, it was like, it felt for me there was more people that were like rooting for Harris more because they hated the idea of Trump than it was believing in Harris.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? I'd rather not him, so let me just root for her. But whereas he said, it felt like with him, it just had a whole load of people that were just rooting for him, bro.
Yeah, and the thing with him, like, again, his fan base aren't going anywhere. Like, what he could do anything, and his fan base are going to ride with him.
Yeah, that's true.
Not many people have that kind of pull on their... So it's like, people aren't going anywhere. So I think just, like, people need to go, like, look, they're showing themselves for what they are. Take it, grassroots, community-led change is far more beneficial than expecting these institutions who end up churning out the same people that govern us over and over again. So what do we expect? You know what I mean? I think, like, it's I hope it's kind of taken the veil completely off this a leader of the free world that they've been brandishing around as some like good marketing tool for years. It's like, all right, that's very questionable on many levels, and he's kind of like taking a mask down on it because he's proud of it. He wears it with a badge of honor. You know, all the foulness that he is. So yeah.
I was listening to LBC as well, and like that's my honorable shout out to James O'Brien, by the way. Listen to James O'Brien all the time, but there's like the one conversation that I thought was kind of lightly interesting as well is that where does it leave that Palestine situation as well, because of his relationships and that. And although like Trump has said, yo, I just want this thing to be over with.
He said
ASAP,
that, but let's see what you look at the damage he's done in that situation. You know, when he on his last presidency. So yeah, let's see. We know where his allegiances, where they lie. So you can.
What do you predict
in that situation?
Yeah.
Of like what his influence is going to be.
Yeah.
I don't have a clue, but it's definitely not going to be any better for the Palestinian people. He's definitely not got them at his thoughts. I know that. I know that he's got no sincere care for the people and the struggle that's going on in Palestine and for the Palestinian people. So I know it's nothing that he's going to do is for the benefit of them. What he'll do, he's a madman. So yeah, but it's definitely not going to be in support of the Palestinian people. I know that.
He's a madman. That's interesting as well, because you know, like the thing that comes across with Trump for me is that he's a man that people can make phone calls to, and why I think that is a little bit dangerous. Yeah, because this is how I feel it even works over here. Is that you can have somebody that is running something, yeah, but if you are of some type of power and influence financially, you can make a phone call. If you got a certain amount of money, you can get anyone on the call, yeah. Definitely. And if you're living in a capitalist society now, where you know we're going in a certain direction, but you're about to make a call that I don't really like, I can easily ring you and say, "Hey, what, big man? Let's step on that for a minute. I'll put 5 million your trust."
Yeah, let's lean in. There's gangsterism there.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Gangsterism. Let me lean in.
Super gangsterism.
Yeah.
This is like Italian
it is.
mafia business here in elements of it. Do you know what I'm saying?
And it has been. That is
naturally
the walking of politics, you know.
Yo, yeah, let me just put like an X amount of money in your trust and let's not do that. You know what I'm saying? Let's lean over this side a little bit.
Let's stop funding arms. Let's stop sending. That can be stopped in the morning if you really wanted to do anything. But when money's rolling in between hands, it's like there's many layers of it. You know?
Even the arms thing is mad to me.
Yeah, I saw this video the other day, and I know that they exist. I saw this video the other day of it was like an arms convention.
What?
So you've got all these arms companies somewhere in the States, and people are walking around, and you've got these companies that are showing off their new technology of like how many people they can kill with this in a second and this machine and this.
That's crazy.
I'm like, yeah, fucking hell, like how far have we removed ourselves that killing machines have become an industry that we kind of like, switch off the fact that how much of a massive industry these things are globally, and we wonder why conflict still exists. We wonder why, it's like, well, because people are making crazy amounts of money out of all of this.
Big
deals, so they don't care about people dying. They'd rather make money.
It boosts the confidence of some and then reduces the confidence of others. Of
course.
Why do you think? Remember when Kim was just talking? He was dying for somebody to do something because he's got something. Do you know what I'm saying? His confidence was at an all-time high. I'm begging somebody to just say something.
Again, it's gangsterism. It's like you've got these wild lads in the corner who've got something and they don't give a fuck what's going on. You've got these, you've got the British who are kind of more like, hi, yes, and well put together. They've got their own thing. And it's like you've got all these characters, almost like characters of themselves, if you zoom out completely. You know what I mean? It's like we're a fucking reality show for some interplanetary fucking ship that's coming along. Like, should we tune into fucking Earth today?
Yeah.
Mentally. What the fuck are they up to? It's like some mad like new Channel 4 reality show. Like they're on a fucking madness down there. What? Trump got voted in. Fucking hell, they're all tuned to their screen. It's true. They're still all killing each other. Yeah, we are for money.
Yeah. It's bad. I think there's a lot to be said about. Did you ever watch that documentary on Netflix about Vince McMahon?
Loads of people keep
really
saying
good.
it. I haven't seen it.
It's really good.
Yeah. Because I didn't realise how much, from what people have said, how much it was actually, there was a real life, going on in the background. Right?
Yeah.
That like, as much as it was like dramatised, there was still a lot of truth.
Loads of truth.
Yeah.
Do you know what is crazy about Vince McMahon, yeah? I learned this watching the doc, was that I didn't know, I didn't go sound so mad, yeah? I genuinely didn't know that Vince McMahon was actually really the boss.
Yeah.
I just thought he was.
They were all actors.
I thought he was just an actor because
Same.
obviously he plays the role of the boss. But he's like, when do you ever see a boss doing stuff like this? Really?
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? For this amount of years, he's in there doing all kinds of stuff. He's married. This man's lipsing women and doing all kinds. He's doing all kinds of stuff.
His in the mix. I didn't know. I thought they were all actors.
Who's that?
His daughter.
And his son.
And his son.
They even had his missus in there one time, where she what was it? They played her as like she was like disabled or something or the other, and he's lipsing some woman in front of her. He's doing all kinds of stuff. But though, the one thing that you can pull out of that is that he built characters that provoked the biggest emotion. And I think that he understood, if I do that as well, I could provoke emotion and get the attention of people in a certain type of way. And when you take that out and you put that into real life, it's like, and I think it's almost going to what you said. It's like, if you take the model of WWE and you put this into like politics or whatever else, and you build a character a certain way, it's a win.
Yeah.
And like when you watch that documentary, and then you see this, and then especially when you see Trump, you can't even unsee it. Yeah. It's almost like the same model.
And it's almost like it's like that WWF idea that even when we were kids, we kind of knew it was fake.
Yeah.
But you watch it so much that you get brought into feel emotionally being attached to the reality of the drama that you're getting fed. Like, even though subconsciously I know that this is bollocks. Like, but I'm still watching. Like, what? Undertaker came out and this is this, and his brother's done this, and you know, you get brought into the drama of it so much. So it's like it's feeding you a fakeness, but you've got this emotional attachment to thing. What's that Black Mirror episode where the fluffy animal or something becomes a politician?
I ain't seen that one.
Yeah, but it's basically played on that of like build up these characters.
Okay.
And then people get emotionally attached to the characters themselves.
Yeah.
It kind of gives you this like false reality stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of like that thing when, you know, the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing was going on, and then at the same time you've got a Netflix series running in conjunction.
Yeah.
It's like, there's a conditioning of the mind that I think that does sometimes when you're like, oh wow, it's dramatized. Does it take away from the effect of like, yo, he's doing some horrible shit.
Yeah.
But let's not get lost in the fact that it's a it's a TV show, and you kind of get lost in it becoming a reality show. When the reality of it is very dark, and what it's saying about, you know, an undertone, I think is very dark. But yeah, it's interesting. I need to watch that.
Do you reckon you could handle the truth?
Fucking hell. In what sense?
Just like
the reality.
Yeah. If one day somebody said, I can uncover just the truth of what is going on, anything that you want to know about, do you think you'd be able to handle it?
You can only judge that when you get what information it is. But I think if we're having conversation like this, where, you know, unless we're lying to each other here and we don't actually care about any of these things and we're just using it for conversation, if we actually care about these things, then I think we'd want to know.
Yeah, so would you take the opportunity? Would you?
I would.
Yeah, some people would. Some people, when I've asked them that question, they're like, they would rather not know. I want to know.
Yeah, I'd rather.
What would you want to know?
What would I?
What would be one thing? What would be, if you had the opportunity to know the truth of one thing? What do you think that would be? I know it's about to put you on the spot.
There's two sides to this. There's like my curious, childlike mind that would just first off want to know at what point and have we had communication with other life sources.
Okay.
That's my childish curiosity mind. Like,
yeah,
I think,
that's a
like,
good one still.
You know, and then I think my mind for like something to do with radical change is, you know, what seedy networks connect governments and royalty and corporations. Like, where are all the names? Like, give me all the names of every involvement, and to see at one point could we expose that, and would that change the general, would that change the general psyche of people about who we tip our hat to? Yeah,
100%. That's one of mine. That would be one of mine.
Yeah, on the more like curious side, yeah, have we had contact? Which I feel like, yeah, maybe we have.
On my curious side, I'm going far back, man. There's a couple of things. Like, well, okay, don't. I know this is gonna sound mad, yeah, and I'm not being blasphemous when I say this.
Did you say blasphemous?
Yeah, but I want to know about this Mary thing. I kind of want it because I got a thought in my mind of how, because you know they were saying Mary was a virgin and whatnot. I want to know.
I'm gonna never get let back into Ireland after this conversation. Go on, no,
these are my words. These are my words.
Nah,
these are mine.
Fuck it, I have to
These
go.
are my
Yeah,
words.
Go on.
So my words is, these are my words, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah,
I'm
these are
not
my
buying
words.
that really.
Yeah.
Like not on a disrespectful one.
It's questionable,
But I
yeah.
understand at a time where it would have been extra sensitive. Like, see, in this state in life now, for a woman to, and maybe we can even have a light conversation about this, but for a woman to go out and just be sexually expressive, people see that a certain type of way today.
Yeah.
So could you imagine back then
What
when
kind of stigma that would have had attached to it?
what, bro?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
imagine, like, I'm thinking in my mind, this is coming off of a time where one time in life, I believe that everyone was just outside, just procreating, just doing what they were doing.
Yeah.
Everyone was just naked. There was no thing on that until one day, probably someone turned around and said, no, this is mine.
Yeah.
And then when someone said, this is mine, then someone else in the village was like, what are you talking about, bro? This is everyone's. Like, what are you talking about? Okay, well then this is mine. And that's how we ended up getting into this monogamous thing, yeah? Because I don't believe our natural state is for us to just be doing this like one person thing. Although I'm not mad at it though. I like it. I like the companionship and I like what that can do for community. I just think our natural state was not that. So then when you fast forward a little bit now and you look at like, you know, Mary, which is, you know, an important time in some people's lives as well. When you look at like religion and where we've gone, it's like, I can imagine that she was out and then maybe saw like a carpenter. Do you get what? You know the diamond in the dirt Don that is just like really dirty, but he's like
fully building the story.
Yeah, but he's handsome. But he's handsome though. Do you get what I'm saying? Like
Saturday night, like
no, not even that. It's just like he's just over there, just doing his thing. Just you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And then they found a little bond now, and then boom, Jesus.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But but I would love to know.
Yeah.
I would love to know what that story genuinely really looks
That's
like.
interesting. Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that's one of
I
them.
think like look, everything. If you're up for it, like you said, some people, and this is just across the board, don't want to know. You know? And that's everyone's right to, whether it's to do with faith or whether it's to do with politics and how society's run, and people just want to switch off to live an easier life. That's everyone's choice. But I think like if you want to question stuff, question everything. And I think
100%.
everything should be analysed. You know what I mean? As much as we can, obviously. You know, you can ask these questions, but unless you have a time machine, you might not get.
You're not gonna know.
Answer,
You're not gonna know.
Because I think as well, especially within religion, it's what these stories, and not just that, what these stories are then used to kind of not control people, but what later in the form of the conformed religion are these stories then used for,
100%.
positives or negatives. You know, so I think everything should have a line of.
Which is partly one of the reasons why. I mean, I know I'm just pinpointing like quite a trivial. Well, I shouldn't say it trivial, but like that is one of the reasons as well, because these things are important in the way that people live their lives and what they believe in, and I'm just curious to know what actually that was really about. And I'm also very curious to understand like how the government, that system actually really works. Like, is there something in that we don't really? I'm just quite curious to know.
In general,
In general, yeah.
Well,
like
yeah.
how hours.
Yeah, I can imagine there's obviously there's a lot that goes into the running of a country, so there's definitely going to be a lot of layers. But yeah, in the background of like the connection between all of it, there's definitely, I think, the world's a lot darker of a place than I think people would imagine. You know, I think you only have to do your research on the information that's available to all of us to know that you know there's a lot of deception when it comes to things like that. So I think the real deep dark truth would probably be quite heavy for a lot of us to hear. You know?
Well, bro, you have an album out.
That was a good segue. The album's called Burn the Right Things Down as well.
There you go.
That was a perfect
There you
segue.
go.
I don't know if you meant for that, but I like it.
There you go. Yeah. So why that? Like why that? Because I know that you're a man who's got elements of well, a lot of elements of substance in you and a certain way of thinking. So that comes from something, right?
Yeah, that kind of came from Ellie, who's one of the creative directors at FAM, which is the independent label we released it on. We were having conversations around the album. This was before I had a title for it, and I was saying like, there's an element. Funny, we've kind of touched on everything. Like, the album was inspired by just me, another diary entry into my view of the world, my view of myself, questions I was asking about spirituality, what can I help or change within myself and the world. There was a psychedelic experience that led into that, which is why the artwork is kind of like half photo, half painting. And then there was, you know, I guess a lot of like concern about the world, and what's my place in it and what can I do to, you know, you start to ask questions like, is music enough to affect people? And then you kind of come back to it and you realize that, you know, the purity of it. And so anyway, we were having these questions and he was just like, you know, kind of asking me questions. And I said, I'm a bit conflicted at the moment. I'm conflicted because half of me wants to burn everything down. I'm like, oh, do you know what, anarchistic, fuck it, we start again. And then the other half of me is like, no, it has to come through love and romanticism. That's what they've been trying to condition out of us, like hope and love. And he's like, is it less so about burn everything down? It should be about burn the right things down.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, that's right. It's like within ourselves. And it kind of came back to the conversation of like going back and listening to my first album and the outtakes. And like, I think there was a version of me there that when I went through certain things in my life, I was like, I'm leaving all of him back there. Like, I'm leaving every bit of him back there, and I'm moving forward in a different sense. And when I listened back, I was like, I left a bit of like the spark. There's a spark that I left and a fearlessness that I left there. So I shouldn't have just burned everything down of that version of me. I should have like learned and taken the best parts. And I think then that's kind of reflective of like the conversations we're having here about, you know, the world and society and stuff like that. And, you know, burn the right things down.
You have to be able to burn some of the right things down even within yourself. You got to know and have a true understanding of what the wrong things are, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time, some people just don't even, it's hard to make a change on something when you don't even really know what the wrong or the right is.
Within
yourself. So that's within yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's like that's a journey within itself anyway.
Definitely, yeah. And it's like, I think there's a lot of questions we should always analyze about ourselves, like, you know, what you know, certain things we think, you know, don't exist within us anymore, and then suddenly something happens and you're like, oh
it's
shit,
there. Yeah, it was
that
there.
thing's
It was a
come out of me. Where the fuck? I thought that was gone. And you're like, oh shit, I need to analyze that a bit and make sure that that's healed or that's kind of figured out in a way, you know. And that can be everlasting. I don't think there's ever an end point with stuff like that, because we have new experiences and life hits us in different ways, and and
the world around you changes as well, so
Definitely.
you are having to adapt to that.
Definitely. Yeah. Of how much you feel a part of it or not a part of it, or adapting to it or angry at it or whatever it is. I feel like, it's a constant thing of like discovery.
What's next?
Do you know what? Like, I think reconnecting with the kid in me, I would say, has made me want to throw paint at the wall all the time. And I think creatively, I'm in the best place that I've ever been. I'm in the most excited place that I've been for years. And I just want to make art. I want to make movies. I want to make more albums. You know, I've been massively enjoying writing with people and like new artists, young artists, and like just being there on their journey and kind of like, you know, helping them in any way or being around it. And I'm just like, I'm fully in my throwing paint at the wall phase. You know what I mean? Experimenting and enjoying that. Like, you know, enjoying that to the core. Like we said earlier on, coming back to how independent are you? Are you really independent? I'm like, all right, am I really an artist? I say I'm a musician, but like, you know, what am I controlled by? I need to be controlled by my own intuition. So that, and only that. So just make that.
Nah, all the best, man. I wish you nothing more than peace of mind, more than anything, and just being able to just keep creating and doing what you're doing, and connecting with your core fan base and building upon that, and going outside and touching people with the music. Because you asked the question like, is music enough? It's a lot.
Of course.
When it's got substance in it, it's a lot. It does so much for people, isn't it? As I said, it's like, you know, but there's a lot of noise out there, but there's a bunch of different projects and artists that have just been a general soundtrack to my life. Do you know what I mean? And have been really important points and been in important points in my life. Do you get what I'm saying? And naturally, you know, like when you go back and you hear some of those songs or you go back and listen to some of them projects, it's like instantly the first second you hear the one song, that first second it takes you back there. And it can take you back there, and it can also remind you of like how far you've even come from that thought or where you was in that time. Do you know what I mean? Music is a lot when it's got substance to it.
Yeah, and it saves a lot of us, you know?
Massively, bro.
And continues to do that. And I think like, yeah, you know, the conversation we're even having about like what boundaries we put on ourselves. I feel like, you know, again, back to the conversation of like, who told us that Friday was the right day to release?
Yeah, randomly.
Day, right?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Who said that you need to make this kind of music? Who said that age is the cut-off point to connect with people? Who said any of this?
Exactly.
And it's like, all right, how willing are we to try and test these boundaries? I think for me, a big thing is like, I need to test these boundaries. And like, if I'm really going to champion, like, I'm here for artists, like, of all ages, of all types, of all kind of like creative outputs. I really enjoy artists and artistry, and I'm like, you know, how much do I really want to, like, in my life and in my career, break down them walls and be like, yo, we're 5 albums in, yeah, we're gonna be 10 albums in, we're still gonna be torn, we're still gonna be right, and I'm not dropping this for nothing because you know, someone's dictated to us and to the listener of like what you should or shouldn't listen to, and what's the cutoff point or what's relevant, or fuck all of that. So like, how much do I really want to stand on that? And I think, you know, for me, the journey is just creating, experimenting, and pushing the boundaries of what I want to do, and like hopefully that being a lesson, and, you know, doing as much, passing the baton on, you know.
Love and guidance, man, bro.
Right back at you, brother.
Before you leave, what is one thing that you think somebody needs to know about? Not about you. It's not about, it doesn't, like, it's not an album. If you've watched a documentary, read a book, seen something, saw a tweet, I don't know, like, what is one thing that you just think people just need to know about? Could be an artist, could be a brand, like anything. Have you seen something recently that you think, yeah, I think people should kind of know about that, or they should see it, or they should hear it?
There's an Irish band called Brick Nasty, that are a young band. The lead singer's from a place called Ballymun in Dublin, and the rest of the musicians are kind of, you know, I think 1 or 2 are from Dublin, one's from Cavan, and they're kind of from in and around the country, and they are like, for me, yeah, Brick Nasty, yeah, for me they're the most exciting thing coming out of Ireland at the moment. Right. They're like a blend of everything that's beautiful about Ireland. You've got like threads of, you know, Irish trad progressions in there. You've got punk, jazz. They're incredible musicians, and I think if I was 15 and these had existed, they would have been my light. They would have been like, wow, these are coming out of Ireland. And I think Ireland's at a really interesting place artistically. Maybe, for me, one of the best places it's ever been. You know, everything from like, you know, Monjolo, Reggie Snow, Brick Nasty, Kojak, the Fontaines, CMAT. It's just like, there's a big output coming out of Ireland at the moment. And for me, these are the most exciting. I've seen them multiple times. I know them. I'm actually going to see him next week. They're supporting Nas in Dublin.
Oh, sick.
And like, as a live band, I would recommend, no matter what style of music you're into, you will enjoy Brick Nasty. And I don't say that often.
I love that.
Yeah, and they're just exciting. And I think, yeah, again, for me, both as a 34-year-old man, they inspire me and excite me. But as a kid, I would have been like, who the fuck are these? These have set a new precedent of what music can be made and coming out of Ireland. So yeah.
I love when like something is objectively good, in a sense that like, even if it's not necessarily your thing, you can enjoy that.
1,000,000%, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said about Black Sharif, by the way, when I had Black Sharif here. But when I went to go to his live show, I was like, I didn't know much about him. I didn't really know much about him like that. I'd heard of him, but I just didn't know much about him. When I went to the show, I didn't know, I knew probably 2, 3 of his rhythms. But I went to this show and I'm like, this is universally good. Do you know what I mean? Like, you go here, even if this isn't your thing, you'll watch this and be like, nah, this is good. Like, he's actually a really, really good performer. The energy in the room, really sick. Like, and that kind of gets you involved in that too.
That's
I love
special
that.
as
It's
well,
one of-
and it's
yeah.
like that's what you're saying about music. Of like what I can do. It's beyond all of that. It's like if you can go into a room and maybe not even know someone's music and it
Yeah.
can move you like that. I'm like, yeah, there's something strong and spiritual about that feels powerful. So
And live shows is my thing.
yeah,
That's one of my favorite things.
that's for
I
me. It's
love
like
live
what
shows.
it'll win me over with an artist. Or it'll make me
100%.
think like And sometimes I've gone to see acts and I'm like, I'm not really into their music, and then I've seen them live and I'm like, fucking hell, they're hard. But
Yeah. And also it happens the other way around.
oh, I've
Really
definitely
excited to
seen
see
some
someone
shocking-
and I'm like,
Yeah, I've seen some shocking shows. I give most people the benefit of the doubt because
Yeah.
I know, but then I've seen certain ones that I'm like, ooh, I don't know, it's a struggle to even give you the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? I know what off nights can be, but this is fucking hell. This is a struggle, but it's good. There's and I think I think there's some good things with live music at the moment. I think people were like, I don't know your view on this, but I think people were like in fear that the more technology we have, the less that people come out to live shows. I don't think it is that. I
Nah.
think, as much as like phones might be a bit of a distraction at shows, people are still filling rooms.
Yeah.
Kids are still going to festivals. Like it's not like festivals are becoming ancient. You know what I mean? It's like kids still want to go
Well,
and enjoy that.
the thing is though, on the flip side, I know that they're like, because there was a stat that I had read a while ago. I can't remember where it come from. You might be able to find it, EA. But it was about ticket sales. Like a lot of ticket sales were down. But I don't think that was because people don't want to go out. I just think that like it's just a tough time in life for just it's just expensive. It's hard. Like, and so some people, they can find the money to go to a live show, but then there's other people that just have to prioritize other things. Or whereas like at one point you could go to so many live shows throughout the year, you're kind of having to pick, all right, cool, if I go to this one, I'll go to that one, I might have to sit this one out.
Definitely.
Whereas before you could just
kind of like, I've been to 15 gigs this year.
Yeah.
But then and especially with some of the acts, I guess that's the conversation around the Oasis thing with ticket prices and stuff.
Oh,
like that.
yeah.
So if you, like you said, some people need to prioritize other things and they're not going to go to any gigs, because it's whatever's happening is happening for them. But other people might go, I've got 150 quid this year to spend on music. And if you're going to see a band and the ticket costs 150, that's you done.
Yeah, that's you're done.
That's your day out. That's
Yeah.
your music thing,
And you know what? Also, you need to get the extra little piece of money for the booking fee.
Yeah, right. And for the drinks when you get in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there is that. That's why I'm like, I'm liking the initiative of seeing like a lot more free gigs. We've been doing some runs where we're doing like, and we could do more of them, like free pub gigs.
Sick.
It's not armed or none of that. I just posted the night before and then turn up into a little small venue or a pub and just do like half an hour and do it for free. Because we as artists, we also miss that as well. Like,
100.
That connection with people. So I think the times aren't really easy for people. So if we can do both,
That's dope.
It's beneficial. Man.
Yeah, man. All right. Well, listen. Oh shit, man, love for coming through, bro.
Hey, thank
massively
you,
appreciate
long
it.
overdue, man. It's been
well overdue.
It's been
bro.
nice to see you.
We'll
And
exchange
congrats,
numbers and that as well.
Congrats to you as well. Like,
Thanks, man.
We were saying at the
Working
start
on
of it, like,
Yeah.
I saw you like the last time we probably caught up. You were in Copenhagen.
Yeah.
The point you're at in your life, you were on a journey. I guess we all still are, and we always will be. But I think congrats to you as well, man.
No, thanks, bro. I appreciate it.
Appreciate what you're doing and putting out into the world. So
Yeah, we give thanks. Today as well, I'm in that mood, where I think today's the day I'm gonna go and buy gloves and I'm just gonna ride bikes. I'm gonna ride bike. I'm gonna buy gloves and I'm just gonna go and ride the bikes around London. I'm just on that today.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm on it. I'm just gonna just ride around today.
Do it.
Yeah, man. Why not? Yeah, bro. I just like the other day, I must have jumped on a bike, one of them lime joints, and then as soon as it accelerated. I said, "What? This is an electric."
See, I haven't been on one.
I didn't even realize that they had them, and I've never even been on one
all
before.
that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's cheating, but I'm
So
on
what
it.
do you mean they accelerate? As in, you don't have to do anything.
Now you still ride a bit. You ride a bit, but it goes.
And so the more you give, the more it goes. Is that
Yeah,
what
kind of. But I think you can't it don't go any more than that.
But all right, yeah.
I was a bit anti them at first. I'm like, ride the fucking bike.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Wait,
But though,
so do you have to keep your feet on the pedal, or does it free wheels? Yeah.
no, you gotta hold the pedal. You got
all
But
right,
as soon as you press down, it just.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
So for a day like that, when you're in that mood where you just want to just ride around, actually, if you're late, then cool. But I do think You know what I mean? Don't get like ride a bike as well.
And there's something I think like again, there's something about like it feels kind of like back to your kid, like
Yeah.
I'm on a bike and like
There you go.
just whizzing around. And there's something like a friend of mine said to me recently, he was like, when was the last time you jumped over your sofa to sit on it? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, when was the last time you jumped over your sofa? Because he said to me something like, about like the child in me of like, you know, being too serious at times or whatever the conversation was, yeah. And I was like, all right, I get you. And he's like, yeah, when was the last time? And I was like, that's a mad random question, but I get it. I was like, yeah, do you know what? I need to start doing that more.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that today.
Yeah. I saw another fella that I know. I said goodbye to him the other day, yeah, and I was like, right, these little moments that are mad inspiring. I said goodbye to him. He said, oh, my cab's down the road. And as I looked at him walking up the road, he skipped up the road.
Oh, did he? Yeah.
Big, like grown man. And I was like,
frolicked.
I was like, lad, grown man. Never expected him skipping. Never seen him skip before. Just like I looked, I was like, I'm not fucking seeing things. Like the shrooms kicking back in. And I was like, lad, yeah, all right, that looks fun. Fuck it, skip up the road, lad. Don't take anything away from you. You know?
Do you know what that reminds me of? Yeah, there's this one tune, right? Every time I hear this tune, wait, 1 second, I'm gonna play it. No, wait, 1 second. Is it this? Wait, what are they called? You see, every time I hear this tune, it makes me run.
Yeah.
So like, I will literally, when I hear it, yeah, I'll just take my phone out and I'll just be, be running or whatever. It just gives me that, like, it just gives me that vibe. So anyway, now I've done it. It was just like a little stupid thing I did on my Instagram. I played the tune and I'm just running down the street. And then one of my brethrens, bearing in mind,
you know where you were going, or were you just running?
Nah, I just ran. I just ran.
Yeah.
But one of my brethrens, yeah, and like, he's a reformed, like, road, like, you get what I'm saying? Yeah. He used to do his thing at a point, yeah, but he's in a different stage in his life or whatnot. He must have DM'd me and he's like, yo, next time we link up, yeah, I beg you, like, play that tune and let's run down the road and frolic. I said, yeah. I said, let me tell you something. You don't have to fret. Cause I'm a weird, like, what people would be surprised about is that I'm quite a weirdo. So if you give me an opportunity, oh my god! When I did R&B and slow jams in Box Park Wembley, and it was fancy dress, yeah. So usually when I do R&B and slow jams, I'm there, like I just do my thing. Obviously, I'm chatting to people and whatever, and I'm just me in it, yeah. But now it's fancy dress, and I'm doing this. So now you're giving me
the first fancy dress one, was it?
Nah, so I did it last year as well. In the way that my mind works is, you're now giving me an opportunity to express myself. So as soon as I put the wig on, put the fake jewelry and whatnot, yeah, people didn't even know how to deal with me. Because if you come up to me to try and say hello and that, I'm embodying a person from the 1970s who's just injected heroin in his system and is in real Marvin Gaye mode. So this hello and all of this trying to chat, it's not going to work. Because I'm doing this, until I got to go and DJ, I'm doing this the whole night.
I read that you were invested in it though.
Yeah.
Because you know, some people go out on Halloween, they do like the little, like, they don't really invest themselves in the outfits. They do something that keeps them looking good in a certain way.
Nah, I'm not on that. You know, like some people like when they're doing the Halloween thing, they still want to be sexy
on their face or something like that. And it's like, oh,
let me just show you something quick.
Now, what, you're gonna bring it up?
That was just before I got in the Uber. Yeah, I'll show you the moment. It was just before I got in the Uber, and that was me. I was in character. That was me now, after that.
How did people react to you, though?
Huh?
How were people reacting to you?
At first, like, when a couple of people tried to come over and say hello, when they realised that I was just, like, being like a madman, then after a while, they just kind of take their phone out or whatever, they might film it, or they'll just, like, some people will try and say hello, but I'm like, right now,
I'm not in
it's just space. Like right now I am a bitty but a functioning one from the 1970s who's into Marvin Gaye. And that's my thing.
Did that, when you were in character, did it change the music you were playing? Was there any?
Nah, because as soon as that was the year before.
What is it? The same one?
That was the year before. Okay. I had the teeth in as well. By the way, for the audio listeners, we're on R&B and Slow Jam's Instagram page or mine. Either way, we're just looking at. But yeah. Anyway, bro.
Express yourself. Love.
Yeah,
Go
exactly.
on.
That's it.
Nah,
Express
it's
yourself.
been a pleasure having a
Yeah,
conversation.
be independent and express yourself
Yeah.
somewhere down the line.
Yeah, and have
Yeah.
conversations. Don't be afraid to go into any of these conversations. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Love for coming through, bro. I do
appreciate
appreciate it.
it. Come on.